Hey there, everybody, it's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards, get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. It's open a little early because it's the first look, and we're taking a first look on a Wednesday before Thanksgiving with my man Trevor Hillstrom. Trevor, happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. You ready for tomorrow's games?
Yeah, I'm ready for tomorrow. You always love Thanksgiving Day when you got the 3 football games to watch. And nice thing is, a lot of my family likes the Packers, so I can root against them.
And I'm sure everybody's dying to watch the Giants Cowboys as everybody's eating.
Ugh.
Yeah, said no one ever. All right. Let's take a look at both slates. Let's take a look at the Thanksgiving slate in case people want to win $1 million, and then we'll take a look at the Sunday slate. So let's start it out with arguably the best game on the slate. It's Chicago against Detroit. Where are you going here? It feels like I'm not sure if Montgomery plays. I don't know whether you think he does or not. I'm worried about Montgomery. I think he does suit up, but I think that it's going to be a little bit more Gibbs than Montgomery. Caleb Williams has played better recently, but I don't know if I trust him. I always like Jared Goff at home. What's your take on this game?
Well, I definitely think it's got to be Gibbs, don't you think? I mean, Montgomery on a short week, he's got an injured shoulder. They're a playoff team. They really don't need to risk him. I mean, Gibbs is as explosive as they get. I would think Gibbs gets most of the carries, but as Dan Campbell, you never know. Goff is always in play at home. You need the Bears. Well, actually, you don't. The Lions will run up the score on anybody lately, so you really don't need the Bears to do a lot on offense. But I think the Bears are pretty. They're improving offensively. They got better rhythm. Caleb Williams at 5,300. I mean, he looks pretty solid, and his receivers are really cheap too.
Do you think it's going to be common? Because I do. I think Caleb with 2 receivers bring back with Gibbs feels like the way that most people are going to start their lineups.
Yeah, I think it's going to be highly owned, and that's why we'll get to a different game I'm going to pivot to for the most part. But yeah, I think they're going to be highly owned. Yeah, Williams, 53, like I said, 5,300 just stares at you in the face.
Right. Now, is that game you're going to be pivoting to Dallas and the Giants? Now that Drew Lock is likely starting, do we like Neighbors? Do we like Tracy? Or on the other side, do we like Rush and CeeDee Lamb and Schoonmaker?
Well, I do like Rush and I like Lamb. The Giants have to run with Tyrone Tracy. Last week they couldn't use him too much because they fell so far behind. But this game only has Dallas favored by 3.5. So Vegas thinks the game's going to be close. So if the game's close, do you think Tracy will get the ball 15 plus times? So
right.
I really like him.
I would think Tracy is almost a must. Like Tracy, Gibbs. Well, actually, I take that back. Tracy, Gibbs, and Jacobs feel to me like I need to have a part of those 3 in most of my lineups.
Yeah, Jacobs is in a great spot too. All these running backs, you could make a case for just about all the starting running backs on the slate, even Dowdle and Chan. You can make a case for all of them, especially if Gibbs gets the major workload, he should be the number 1 player on the slate. But to beat Miami, Jacobs need to run the football.
So you mentioned there's another quarterback you like, another game. Is it the Miami game or is it the Giant game? What game are you looking at?
It's Miami, and I'm on the Dolphins because they're going to be lower owned. Tua's, I think DFS Hero projects him at less than 10% ownership. A lot to be said about Tua and the Dolphins, how they stink in cold weather. And it's going to be cold. But, good offenses move the ball against Green Bay. Minnesota had no problem throwing the football against Green Bay. Detroit could move the ball against them when they wanted to. Even Chicago moved the ball on Green Bay pretty well. So I think Miami's in a good spot to move the football.
So would you call this a solid contrarian play? Because I don't think most people are going to be on Tua in the cold weather because everybody knows the betting trend is don't do it.
Yeah, that's my contrarian play, But I'm going to play a lot of lineups. I'm going to have a little bit of everybody. But Tua is who I'm focusing on. The Chan's who I'm focusing on. Picking a receiver over there is going to be tough. Is it Hill or is it Waddle just come through last week? So you're really going to have to stack them. That's the problem with these Thanksgiving Day slates when you have 3 games. All it takes is one team to just go off, and they can just set the thing up crazy. And then you get an off-key player that nobody's talking about that takes down these $1 million slates.
Well, I agree with that. So then is that one Drew? I mean, at 4,500, is Drew Lock a bad start? I happen to think he might be good because it allows me to get everything else I want in. And I don't think there's any other quarterback on this slate that's going to blow it up.
Well, at 4,500, I mean, he's worth the shot, but I can make the argument if I'm going to pay for that, I just pay a few hundred more for Rush. It's hard, you're talking about 6 quarterbacks on the slate, and you can make a case for all 6 of those guys too, except for Love. I don't like Love because I think Green Bay is going to have to try to run the football, and I just don't trust his receivers anymore.
How do we get contrarian on this slate? I don't see any other way except playing Lock or Tua. I mean, maybe your Tua play is right.
Well, after Tua, and then you try to stack the heck out of one team. I mean, that's just it's tough to do because Detroit's got a good matchup. You can make a case for CeeDee Lamb. Like you said, those other quarterbacks are they're low price, like Williams and Rush and Locke. So it's tough to do. So I just think Tua's going to throw for close to 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. As long as they can keep Jacobs off the field somewhat, because Jacobs might try to run this clock out as much as they can. But
look, Miami occasionally is really bad against the run. There are some weeks where they can't stop anybody. And this feels like that could be one of those weeks because Green Bay is the pass rate over expectation has dropped hugely in the last five weeks. They were passing and now they're running way more.
Oh, yeah. Well, and matchup has a lot to do with that. They've played some teams that, quite frankly, stink against the run. Miami's one of those teams too. I mean, yeah. So another thing about the Green Bay Miami game is, you look at the first game you mentioned was Dallas and Chicago. It was a game total at 48. Dallas and Miami and is 1 point behind.
Right. So Chicago and Detroit is 48.5. Miami and Green Bay is 47.5. Dallas and Giants are 37.5. So, I mean, look, you maybe if the Chicago-Detroit game doesn't hit, then you look like a winner. You really look like a winner because I don't think the Giants and Cowboys are going to be the boom game of the week. Do you?
No, but yeah. So, and I think Miami's going to win, but maybe I'm being biased because I don't like the Packers, but I just think Miami's a better team.
You're always biased. You hate the Packers.
Well, I do, yeah. But I have no problem playing Packer players. I have no problem playing Packer players. If I think they're going to win a slate, I'm playing Packer players.
Look, I'm only biased that I want to win money, and I want people out there to win money. So what I like about the Tua play to me is that most people will hear the same thing. Don't play Tua under 46 degrees on the road, stay away. And people are like that's the look, there's a trend for a reason, right? Gambling trends exist for a reason, but eventually he has to break the trend, right?
Yeah. Kirk Cousins wins on primetime now.
Right. And then he threw for 400 yards on primetime.
Yeah.
All right, let's start taking a look at this weekend slate. A lot of big games there. Is there anything that catches your attention right away? I'm looking at the higher scoring games. There's a lot of games this week. The New Orleans and Rams are 49. Philadelphia, Baltimore is a 51 spot. Are those 2 games you're looking at? Or are there other games that you like more?
Well, I kind of just broke into the slate because we spend so much time dealing with the Thanksgiving Day games because they happen so early. There's quite a few games on the board that look really good, and all these quarterbacks. There's so many good quarterback matchups, and these quarterbacks are they're priced 6,000 or less, except for you got a couple that are over that. You've needed Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp in three of the last games they've played. You had to have one of them in the big tournaments to win. So you got to look at the Rams because they're going to be able to move the football. So you need to have a player there, in my opinion. The Eagles, A.J. Brown, but he should have a big game against the Ravens. That's the guy that popped off to me was AJ Brown.
Well, let me ask you a question though. I don't think Devonta Smith plays. I think he's out. Okay. Assuming he's out, don't you think Baltimore is going to double AJ? Because they do not have a decent second receiver in Philadelphia. There's nobody there. Jahan Dotson's awful. Johnny Wilson's awful. I mean, if I'm them, I've got the cover guy. I'm bringing the safety over. I'm not letting AJ Brown breathe.
Yeah, and well, they're going to have to deal with Saquon Barkley too. But yeah, I mean, I just, for me, AJ Brown just popped off as one of the guys that I really like to start.
I'm looking very heavily at the Rams-Saints game. I think the Saints have played very free-flowing football since Rizzi's taken over, right? They feel like they're enjoying this game more. I think Taysom Hill may be the lock of the slate for me. I can't get away from him. I know there's other good plays, but how many tight ends can go for 35? Nobody other than Taysom Hill can go for 35. And if he runs two in, he catches one and he throws one, I'm looking at 35 again.
Well, another thing too about Taysom Hill, there's not a lot of tight ends that jump out at the board anyway on this slate. So yeah, he definitely makes some sense too. That's one thing I hate about playing the Saints games. Every time I jump on Kamara, then it's Hill. And if I go to Hill, then it's not Hill. So I'm just looking at the more of the tight ends on the slate here. I'll do like Hawkinson, but yeah, Hill pops out. Otten pops out. But
is there a cheap quarterback you're willing to look at this week? Because we always try to, is it Justin Herbert? Is it Matthew Stafford? I mean, is it Will Levis? Your boy Will Levis has been on since you said play Will Levis and he crapped the bed. The next 3 games, he's like Johnny Unitas and Y.A. Tittle wrapped together.
Yeah, that's how it goes. That's why sometimes you got to keep playing players. I've been on Addison all year. Didn't play him last week. Pollard, a guy that I played early in the year, I gave up on. The optimizers loved him last week. I didn't, and I should have listened to the optimizer. So yeah, I'm not playing Levis this week though. I'm just not going to it. I'm not playing him, especially when you got guys like you said, you got Herbert at 5,600. Atlanta's pass defense isn't very good at all, and they're dealing with injury at running back. I mean, I think he's almost a lock for 300 yards in this game. I mean, him and McConkey are going to be in a lot of my lineups.
Oh, for sure. Let me ask you about a couple of cheaper guys getting at running backs. I don't know. I think Breece Hall is not playing. And yeah, I think Braylon Allen is going to start. I think Kamani Vidal is interesting. Vidal is $4,000. Braylon Allen is $5,000. How high do they go? Ownership
as far as Allen will go through the roof if Hall is out. I don't know about Vidal how high he will go, but I do believe Braylon Allen's going to be 30% at 5,000. I mean, that's just, I don't think there's any way around it, because this ain't the week for running backs, or this isn't the week that, there's one running back that just pops out at you. Like you say, you got to have him. Maybe Joe Mixon. Mixon's one of those, but with those higher priced players, there's just not one guy that you just say you got to have.
I think Bucky Irving may be a guy you had to have.
Yep. Then I look and he still split time with White. They still split touches, but Irving is, he's playing pretty good.
I mean,
I just wish he got a little more volume.
Dude, last week he almost had 3 touchdowns. Got stopped on the 1 yard line twice.
Yep. He had 15, 16 touches, and White had 15, 16 touches.
Yeah. And that could happen this week too. See, I like Baker as a player, but I don't know whether Baker's throwing 3 touchdowns this week. Baker may only throw for 1 touchdown, and they may have, White could have 60 yards and a touchdown. You might have Irving with 60 yards and a touchdown.
Baker's the guttiest player in the league. I love him.
Yeah. I think everybody jumped to conclusions on Baker. Really did jump to conclusions on Baker. All right, let's get to some wide receivers here. Jamar Chase is at 8,600. You mentioned A.J. Brown. What about your boy Justin Jefferson, who 8,100 sliding Nico Collins against Jacksonville. Everybody's going to want to click that button. That's an easy button to press, but it's a hard button to press as Justin Jefferson. Will you, Mr. Viking fan, press that button?
I'll play him a little bit, but I'm not high on him. He just hasn't done a whole lot in the last, month. The teams are just really focusing on taking him out, and he's come out and said, after Jordan Madison and Hawkins had big games, he goes, yeah, he was happy, he was smiling, he wasn't pouting or anything like that. He was let them eat, because if they want to take 2-3 guys to cover me and let Hawkins and Madison eat, then that's fine with him. I don't know what the Cardinals are going to do. I'm going to be at the game, so the Vikings will probably lose, because they always lose when I'm there. So
is that the Trevor effect?
Yeah, that seems to be. But anyway, Jefferson, his price has come down, so he does have a lot of appeal. He's a slate breaking type of receiver. He could score 10, 15 points or 30 something. His last time he was at home, he had 138 yards receiving. He just missed a touchdown by 2 yards. So, they're going to be looking for him. But Darnold got a lot of heat in 2 games when they played the Colts and the Jaguars back to back, and he threw 5 interceptions by throwing the football to Jefferson overly. So he's really concentrated on spreading the ball around, and he's been a lot better. So,
what about on the opposite side of the ball? Do you like Marvin Harrison against your Vikings? Do you like James Conner was shut down big time last week? Trey McBride was absolutely outrageous. Is there a Cardinal that you think that we should be looking at?
It's hard to pick back the quarterbacks. I like Kyle Murray. I think his feet can do some damage against the Vikings. He can run down the field and find an open guy. Maybe Harrison gets squirrely. I know a lot of people won't want to hear this name, but I think Michael Wilson could be a sneaky play. He's going to have to score a touchdown. I could see a 5 for 60 and a touchdown game at his price point could get you up there. But I like Murray, but the receivers are just hard to predict for the Cardinals. Harrison, the Vikings secondary stinks. They're all built on pass rush. If they don't get to the quarterback, the quarterbacks will. I could see Murray throwing for close to 300 yards, especially if the Vikings start scoring.
Well, Kyler, to me, what the thing about the Vikings bring all this pressure, right? So if Kyler can just get mobile, and if he can connect downfield, you're looking at big plays, right? So it's like a high risk, high reward defense. You're sacking a guy 8 times, you're winning. If you're sacking a guy twice and he's finding guys 50 yards downfield, game over, Cardinals are winning.
Right.
All right. Is there another game? We touched on the Arizona game. We touched briefly on Philadelphia, Baltimore. We touched on the Rams and the Saints. What about Carolina and Tampa? That's at a 46.5. Or Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. We didn't talk about that game at all. At home is Cincinnati. Can you play Chase? Can you play Chase Brown? Can you do anything a little funky in that one?
Well, I like Chase Brown because he's going to get all the volume. But I do like T. Higgins more than I like Chase, just because he's lower priced. His average is almost 20 points a game when he's healthy, and he's going to get the lesser coverage, you would assume.
So you think the quarter is on Chase?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah. You would think so. That would make the most sense. But sometimes when you try to make sense of football, it doesn't matter. But the Pittsburgh side, I could see Russell Wilson having a good game, because the Bengals' run defense is much better now that their defensive line's been healthy. I think they're going to throw the ball quite a bit.
But the problem is for Russell Wilson is a good day for him is like 28 pass attempts. And maybe he goes 22 for 28 for 263 and 2 touchdowns, which is fine, by the way. But are you winning? Are you taking down a tournament with 21 points from your quarterback?
You can at 5,700. You just got to hope that your big time players do really well. Because I've seen a few tournaments this year be won by 20, 22 point quarterbacks when their price point's been under 6,000.
Who is it Jalen Daniels this week? Is Daniels the guy? Is it Daniels, McLaurin? If there's a shot that Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler are out, could you say Daniels and McLaurin could be the 30 and 20 guys?
Yeah, I like Daniels quite a bit against Tennessee. And he's running the football, and Washington's banged up at running back. I mean, Eckler's probably not going to play from the concussion. Robinson's always hurt with various injuries, so I think Daniels is going to score another touchdown this week. So I'm thinking you're looking at 50 yards rushing and a touchdown. Then whenever he does passing is the bonus. So he's the guy that could get to 30 points. Him or Murray.
What's that?
Daniels or Murray, I think, are going to be the guys that get close to 30 points.
Would you play Jeremy McNichols at 5,400? Or would you only play him if – well, let me just say this. Let's say Robinson and Eckler are out. Is McNichols a must-start?
Well, he's not a must-start, but you got to think about playing him. I mean, he's not like he's at min price. I mean, 5,400 is still, quite a bit to play for a guy like him. But if he's the only starter, then yeah. But it looks like Robinson's going to play. He's been limited in practice, so I think he's going to get some run here.
Just throwing this out there, assuming that Breece Hall and Brian Robinson are out, would you play both McNichols and Braylon Allen, or is that too chalky?
Might be a little too chalky, and I just don't know if you'll get the points you're going to need.
Okay, no, that's fair. It seems like there's a lot of soft pricing on DraftKings. I mean, Kyron Williams at 7,200? Doesn't that feel like, please, Dr. Roto, click this button?
Yeah, because he hasn't broken 16 points in a month. Even though he scored last week, I think he only scored 13 fantasy points. But
you don't think he scores against the Saints?
I think so. I like him this week. If you're not playing the passing game, let's say you don't want Nakua, you don't want Kupp, then you better have Kyron Williams in your lineup. You're going to need a Ram in your lineup. You're going to need somebody from the Rams in your lineup to win. One of those guys is going off. Maybe two of them are.
So is it insane? And I don't really construct lineups this way, and maybe I should. Can I literally go Stafford, Kyron, Puka, Kupp, and just say, give me every point from the Rams in that game?
Well, you get a lot of leverage that way. I don't know if you only make 3 lineups like you do, I don't think you want to do that. But then you're forced to play McNichols and Allen if you do that, because you won't have any money. And you're going to have to punt that tight end and defense if you do that, because that's going to take a lot of cap away.
Huh. Well, let me see something here. I'm going to go a little crazy on you. If I do Stafford, Kyron, Kupp, Puka, and Taysom Hill,
okay,
could I not get – I could get a little freaky. I might be able to make that work. Just saying. A little Chase Brown in there, maybe a little Dallas Goedert in there. I'm on to something.
The Rams are a team that could score 34, 40 points against the Saints. I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, the Saints defense isn't very good at all. So
it's condensed, right? I know exactly where the Rams are going. They're going to 3 guys, and these 3 guys are going to have big days, right? Now, does it hurt me if Puka goes 5 for 50? Yeah, I'm going to be in trouble. But if all those guys find a way to 16 to 20 points each.
Well, if we look at last week, Nakua had in the mid-20s. I think Kupp had low 20s. Kyron was at 13 or 14, so Stafford had to be 20 or so. So you weren't far off. I mean, you were another touchdown away from Kyron from getting to it.
Right,
so,
right. I mean,
and then that was against the Eagles.
What's that?
And that was against the Eagles.
Right, right. So my point is, like tomorrow, for example, is it the craziest thing to go Caleb Williams with like Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Cole Kmet and just say, hey, dude, throw the football and I'm scoring?
Yeah, well, they're not going to run the ball against Detroit, so they better be throwing it. Right. I think Kmet is sneaky tomorrow too. So,
right. So there's just certain plays like that, which I don't normally do the 3 and the 1 bring back, but it might hit on a slate like this. That something like that could hit.
Yeah, because even though I like the quarterbacks for the Sunday slate, I like a lot of quarterbacks because there's a lot of low price ones and the higher price ones I kind of like too, like Jaden Daniels. But in a slate like that, it doesn't seem like anybody pops out at you other than the big players that are like the Rams receivers. We were talking about Justin Jefferson. We're talking about T. Higgins, guys that are a little more price. I think you got to pay down at quarterback a little bit and get that Herbert type or that that guy under $6,000 so you can get those bigger receivers in. Because if you're looking pay down at receiver. You got Addison in the mid fives. You got Brian Thomas in the mid fives. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is at 5,500 and Lawrence is back. And you got Addison at 5,300. But where's that 3,500 to 4,000 guy that you need to win a tournament when you're playing up for all these other receivers? I mean, I mentioned Michael Wilson from Arizona, but do you really trust him? I mean, he's just a flyer.
I think, I'm just giving you guys under 4,000 to me that are interesting. I mean, maybe Demarcus Robinson, if I'm wrong, maybe a Parker Washington or Tim Jones, considering the Jaguars have nobody, literally nobody. What about David Moore? Could I go back to David Moore? What about Calvin Austin? I mean, I think there are a couple of guys there, maybe even Johnny Wilson if Devonta Smith is ruled out. But I don't think you can, if those guys don't get 10, you lose.
Right. I like Calvin Austin. I mean, this guy's good. They just have to throw the football to him. My buddy
Calvin Austin was a great receiver at Memphis. And in the NFL, I thought he was going to have a role. And then he got hurt. And he got hurt like 2 years. He never really found his way. And now he's finally he has a good quarterback, right? Russell knows how to throw the ball. And he's looked pretty good. And his price never jumps.
No. He's won some slates. So that's all you can ask for in a slate like that, is just to try to find guys to win slate. It's hard to find guys that are $3,000 to $4,000. It's not easy. If it was easy, I'd have a bigger house.
Exactly. That boat you always wanted. All right. You want to put a lineup together and see what you got?
Oh boy. I can definitely do that. I'm going to start with Herbert and McConkey.
All right. Justin Herbert in. Ladd McConkey in. Okay. Who are your running backs?
Well, I'm going to try Mixon.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Bucky Irving.
Like that. Some more receivers.
Oh, boy. Trying to find a receiver out of this is tough. I'm going to go to tight end first because I know I can fit him in. I'm going to go with T.J. Hawkinson.
Your boy T.J., okay.
Oh, boy, I'm trying to find a defense here.
Go cheaply.
Yeah. I have to go with Brian Thomas Jr. just because I think he has big upside at wide receiver. I don't, it's for a first lineup, I'm kind of going that way.
So you have a receiver, a flex, and a defense left.
Well, I'm going with Puka Nacua.
All right, Puka's in. So you got a defense and a flex.
I'm going with Michael Wilson in my flex.
Your guy, Michael Wilson. Look at you. All right.
Yeah, I have to. I can't just call him in there.
2,800 for a defense.
What do you think the Patriots are worth it?
Yeah, I mean, Patriots, Colts, and something in that game is fine.
Patriots are the Patriots. What about MVS or Otten as my flex? Take Michael Wilson out as my flex.
All right, so I should put Otten in.
Otten, Patriots, and Otten.
I don't think you can afford Otten. Oh, you have $2,500. You have $2,500. So who's your defense? New England. All right, so you're at 131.5. So it's Herbert, Mixon, Irving, Ladd, Thomas, Puka, Hawkinson, Otten, and New England.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can get this lineup to work. I'm going to go Stafford. I am going to go Kyron. I'm going to go Bucky Irving for sure. I'm going to go Puka and Cooper Kupp. Bring that bad boy back with my guy Taysom Hill. I'm going to go the Colts defense. I need a cheap receiver. Let me go. What's that?
How much you got left?
I've got 4,200 per player. I'll go Calvin Austin. So I have 5,100 per flex. Leggett is interesting. Kate Otten is interesting. What?
What's Adam Thielen's price this week?
Adam Thielen is 4,800. I'm going to go chalky, and I'm going to go Braylon Allen. So you have a higher thing than I do. I'm at 127 with Stafford, Williams. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. That's not accounting for Hall being out, though. If Hall is out, Braylon Allen's points go up.
Right. So my team there was the Stafford, Kyron, Bucky, Puka, Kupp, Austin, Taysom, Allen, and the Colts.
I like it. I think it's good.
DFS is so frustrating because you sit there and you spend all this time, all this energy, you love your lineup, and then some dude who has, literally 6 guys from the Panthers wins because Bryce Young goes off for 275 yards, and you're like, WTF.
Yep.
Who's the trust in Trevor play this week?
The trust in Trevor play this week? It's got to be a guy that's in my lineup. Are you talking? I'm going with Ladd McConkey. I think he's 100 yards and a touchdown for sure. I mean, I think he's the easiest wide receiver play on the board. Atlanta won't be able to cover this dude. Big time.
He is such a technician, and Atlanta keeps everybody in front of them. He's just going to roam around there, catch, and all he needs to do is break one tackle, and he's going to make a 25, 30-yard play. Yeah.
Who's your guy?
I think my guy, honestly, I can't get away from 2 guys this week. I can't get away from Taysom Hill, and I can't get away from Bucky Irving. Now, maybe I'm a sucker with Bucky Irving, and maybe it's a Rachaad White this week, but Irving seems to get better every week, and he looks way more explosive to me than Rachaad White. But I hate chasing.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, you're chasing points, but White needs to be playing from behind so he can get out there and catch more passes. So if Tampa can get a nice lead, then Irving should.
I feel like it's a little chalky. I have to debate it, but right now, on Wednesday, that's where my head is because I don't want to miss. I mean, he could be 90 yards and a touchdown, and I at 5,800, and I don't have the 16 or 18 points in my lineup. I'm screwed.
Right. And come Friday, my whole game thought might change because once Thanksgiving's over, I'm really locking into this weekend slate and digging in. I have dug in, but it's going to be full throttle.
All right, my friend, I wish you and yours a very happy Thanksgiving. I hope it's a great day, and I hope you become a millionaire on Thanksgiving.
I don't think I'm going to be playing the Millie Makers, so I won't be.
I think it's $5. You can do the DraftKings $5 million.
Well, I might make 150 lineups. You never know what crazy thought I'll come up with.
Exactly. The crazier, the better. You and Sasha can sit there and come up with some great lineups. And, she barks twice. That's the one you play.
Yeah.
All right. For everybody else out there, I want to tell you something. On Saturday, beginning Saturday, go to drroto.com. We're giving a free week away. If you sign up and you enter the promo code PLAYOFFS, we will give you the whole week for free. So you can join us and hopefully get some great advice and win in your leagues. Okay? We're back on Friday night with Friday Night Lights. Wishing you and yours a very happy Thanksgiving. So from me and Trevor, we tell you to be well and take care.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.
Ooh.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.